The range in negotiations was very broad, starting with a resumption of the work of the United States Embassy in Belarus. What we did not agree on was a number. They said the Marines must guard the embassy. I said, no thanks. We have Belarusian Interior Minister Ivan Kubrikov providing all the security we need. On the subject of Ukraine, yes, they asked me questions, and I answer them because I know the answers. They like that. I told U.S. President Donald Trump on the phone what path to take. They didn't take that path. They wanted to solve the problem quickly. I suggested to him then, you're going to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Give it a try. Don't pressure him, because he'll turn you down. Try to persuade him to stop the military action. If he promises, he'll do it. He's a man of his word. We are engaged in very difficult dialogue with the Americans. Our representative, Belarusian permanent representative to the UN, Valentin Rybakov, is my representative there. He came here. I said, wait, he'll be back. He'll continue this dialogue with you. They are already asking to plan further meetings and talks. Everything is moving, as they say, toward a big deal. They love that word, though I don't really like it. Everything is moving toward us meeting with Trump and reaching an agreement. Some say that the Belarusians are conducting negotiations, but we are not doing so at Russia's expense. On the contrary, in time, I will tell you how we are conducting negotiations with the Americans, what advice we are giving them about Ukraine, and what we are telling them. But you have to understand that Americans are neither idiots nor fools. They came to me, and I showed them a map and said, look how far the Russians have advanced. You understand that the war must be stopped, otherwise you will lose Ukraine altogether. Here is a map from space. It is a highly accurate map, 1-to-1. Therefore, they are not fools. They know what is happening on the front lines. It doesn't take much time to deal with Lithuania by any means necessary. But God forbid we start some kind of war. The question isn't even about war, but about time. That's not the point. The point is that I am trying to get it into the Americans' heads that war is a special period in the life of any society, but it's still life, a difficult life. And in this situation, it's impossible to predict with 100% certainty how events will unfold. The turn of events could be the most incredible, so I'm trying in every way to avoid confrontation. We need to negotiate. We need to sit down, discuss issues, and reach agreements. If your opponent has not crossed a red line, as we like to say nowadays, if they have crossed the red line, that is aggression against Belarusians, and for us that is unacceptable, we will respond. If they start making trouble, we will respond accordingly. They should understand perfectly well that no Germans or Americans will fight for them if we start a conflict. They have already annoyed the Russians in particular. First, they planned to torpedo one thing, then another. Now they are planning to bomb Kaliningrad or take it for themselves, and so on. They have already annoyed us. The people of Kaliningrad are not strangers to us, so we are putting up with it. We are discussing this issue with Putin, but I would not want our patience to run out at some point. We cannot allow that to happen under any circumstances. It seems to me that if the Americans and Europeans are staging a show, then it would be appropriate for them to start a conflict between Belarus and the Poles or Lithuanians. But the Poles are not fools. I say that sincerely. The Lithuanians are far from stupid too. The people will not allow this conflict to be provoked, which is what is holding back the politicians, not social factors, but the people themselves. That's how I analyze it, and I think it would be beneficial for them to provoke a conflict here. Estonia declares, we will close the border with Belarus. Goodness, I was startled. I thought about how much I had studied and decided to look at a map. However, we do not have that border. Such are the leaders in Europe today. They have lost their bearings and now their borders. For me, the continuation of this conflict is extremely dangerous. Why? As I have already said, there could be a turn of events that we could never have imagined. If the war ends, it will be extremely beneficial for me, because I am a peaceful person. Recently, President Putin publicly thanked Belarus for its peacemaking position. We have always held this position and continue to do so. Only a peaceful resolution to the Ukrainian issue is beneficial for us. If it follows the Belarusian Jewish scenario, as I often say, Ukraine will not be able to do without us either. Putin and I often talk about this. No Americans or Europeans will work in Ukraine without huge benefits for themselves. We will rebuild it, maybe somewhere for a fee, somewhere for free, but we will help. These are our people. Ukrainians could have attacked Belarus at one time to defend their northern borders, and I had to make considerable efforts with the military to prevent this from happening. They believed at the time that we could attack them, and they deployed 150,000 troops, more than our army, to the northern border. We are closer than ever to a peace agreement. Russia will take this territory anyway, even at the leisurely pace at which the Russian army is advancing.